Okay, hello and welcome to another live session here on Facebook. So today I was going to talk about how to deal with cravings in social situations. And please stay with me. It's going to be a little bit different than you think that it's going to be, I think, but who knows. So those of you who by now know me and what I'm talking about, the coin's going to drop pretty quickly when I start talking about it. But also just remember to actually consider what you want to do. Because sometimes we go to social situations and we actually do want to eat. So I want to give you the option of just being honest with yourself and consider that this is also an option that you can choose to do. And I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a bit. So let's get started then. I think it's all about cravings management in general. The problem isn't the act of eating. The problem is that you have these irresistible cravings for eating whatever it is that you have cravings for. So for me, that would probably be pretty much anything with sugar in. Some things are more triggering to me than other things, and the sweeter the better. I'm kind of Ben & Jerry's ice cream, cookie dough, or the one that doesn't exist anymore, I don't think, the baked Alaska, because there's white chocolate in, which I like, which is a lot of sugar, or the marshmallowy, yummy stuff, which is also pretty much just sugar. So those would be my go-tos. Some people might feel an irresistible urge to eat sausage rolls. I personally don't get it. It's not my cup of tea. But we all have different type of cravings. So it doesn't matter what it is that you crave. The problem is the craving, and it works the same way in all human beings and most animals as well, because that's how we have been designed. We've been designed to seek out these things that will increase our chance of survival. So just keep that in mind all the time. Sometimes we tend to forget about it because we're so focused on that we go to this social gathering or we're in this social situation, and all of a sudden we think it's a new problem, but it isn't a new problem. The problem is still that you're having the cravings. So we need to deal with the cravings, and then the situation will no longer be a problem. So having said that, we often don't get to practice being in these situations. So when you're practicing allowing your cravings and not giving into them or not resisting them, you'll most likely do that at home when you're feeling secure and relaxed and everything is good. And that's fine. But then we're being put in a new situations and we have distractions like people talking to us or trying to talk us into eating something or questioning why we're not eating it. All of a sudden we think that that is a new problem. And yes, there are distractions, but it doesn't change the way you're dealing with it. You might not be able to focus as intently on it in the beginning when it's new and you need to kind of pay attention to what you're doing, and you're still trying to find your way through just allowing a craving. It would be hard to do that in a social situation in the beginning, but it's just about practice. So I'm going to give you a few tips in a little bit. So often we are also very, very uncomfortable with people asking us why we're not eating it, or they're trying to get you to eat it, which is actually not your problem. But I think part of the problem is that we don't want to be uncomfortable. We don't want other people to judge us for not having the cake or the sausage roll or whatever it is. So I think we need to dig a little bit deeper and have a look at what social expectations there are and your unwillingness to feel uncomfortable to be judged by friends, family, colleagues, or whoever is there. Because this is a problem for most people. So let's have a look at this then. Many people will, just as a way of escaping this, they will spend hours, and I mean literally hours, thinking about what to tell people about why they choose to not have the cake or the donut. Just because they expect them to be judged. And you're probably right. Most people will judge you for it. For some reason, things like not having cake or anything sugary that is a treat, not drinking alcohol, not eating vegetables. Those are three of the big things that people in general seem to struggle with when we say that we don't want to do it. It's like everyone should like cake. Everyone has to drink when we're celebrating something, otherwise something wrong with you. And everyone should be eating their vegetables because they're healthy. So if we choose to not do those things, we're instantly felt, people are labeling us as being strange or being an outcast or what's wrong with you, and all these questions are coming up. And it's not just other people judging you, you are probably judging you as well. And it goes against our nature to put ourselves in a situation where we're outside of the group. It's very uncomfortable because being part of a group, evolutionary, it has proven to be very beneficial. You get the protection from the group. So if you're part of the group, you have this security net. And now you're stepping out of the group and you say, I don't want cake. Now, in this society that we're living in, there's no danger for your health. You're not going to be an outcast. It's just a feeling of being outside of the group, which sort of you are, because you're not choosing to do the same thing as the other people in this group. But most likely they will not hate you for not having cake. They will probably still be friends with you, or if they're family, it's not a huge drama. But we're making it a huge drama in our heads. And as I said, it's just because we have evolved this way. So it's totally natural. Most people do it. If you don't naturally, great, congratulations. I don't do it a lot, but I do it much more with some things than with other things. Maybe because I have grown up and not drinking alcohol and doing all those things, but I think I've always been like that. I remember my mum told me, I can't remember how old I was, probably 8 years old, I think, from memory. And my teacher had said that she was very impressed with how I stood up for myself, and I was very independent and I could make my own decisions. So we're all different, but at the same time, we all want to be part of this group in some sort of fashion. So when people are approaching you and they say, of course you should have some cake, we're celebrating, or I haven't seen you in ages, we should have some cake together, or it's a special occasion and we don't get to do this very often, or maybe it's Auntie Sue that has baked this special cake that she does, and now you won't get the chance to have a cake for another year, and of course you should have a piece. It can feel emotionally very, very hard to say no. And by saying no, we will cause a lot of anxiety, because not because we're saying no, but because we're thinking that we are somehow hurting other people, we're making them upset, and they're not going to like us anymore, and we're having all these thoughts about what these people are thinking about us when we're saying no. So what if you could just choose to not care about what they are thinking about you? What if this was an option? So let's say that when other people are smoking, if you're not a smoker anyway, you wouldn't feel bad for saying, no, thank you, I don't want to smoke. Or if someone for me, for example, someone is eating the most delicious olives on earth, and they say, "Hey, have an olive. These are amazing." And I'm like, "No, thank you. I actually hate olives." I'm saying, "No, thank you. I don't want any olives. I'm good." I don't feel bad about it. I'm not thinking that this person is going to judge me for not having olives. This is my personal preference, and I don't like olives, or I don't smoke. It's just something that I don't do. It's part of me, and that's how I present myself. So why are we having these thoughts about people judging us so much when we say no to the cake? And what I'm going to tell you now, you're probably going to not like it, but let's just think about it. Why are you feeling so uncomfortable? Why is it so easy to say, "No, thank you, I don't want to smoke, I don't want these olives, I don't want coriander or cilantro, whatever you call it," but it's very uncomfortable to say no to the cake? And I'm going to tell you, it is because you actually do want the cake. You unconsciously still want this cake because you have the cravings. So it is going to be, you're almost trying to uncomfortable yourself into saying yes. So you're so focused on how uncomfortable it is to say no, and you think that it matters so much what other people are thinking, that this is everything that is taking up your brain space right now, rather than thinking about the good things about not having the cake. So trying to make it so uncomfortable for yourself that it's much, much easier to say yes, and you have an excuse to eat the cake because actually you really actually want that cake. So the only reason really that is so challenging when other people are asking you about why you're not doing it, or they're trying to talk you into, is because you really honestly want to eat that cake. Your unconscious brain, your lower brain wants you to eat that cake. You might still, your prefrontal cortex might be in a space where it's saying, "No, we don't want this because of this and that and that." So when you're thinking about what you should tell other people, I want you to kind of consider that you don't actually have to give them an explanation. It's fine. You just say, "I prefer to not have cake today," or "I don't want any cake." So the problem here is probably that you feel like you're lying because you do want the cake. But also think about other people's opinions about what you're doing is none of their business. And I mean this, no matter who it is, whether that's your partner, your family. You are a grown-up person. You have the ability to choose what to do and what to eat and take care of your own body the way that you want to take care of it. And it's absolutely none of their business. So the problem going on here is often that when it gets to cake, for example, I'm just using cake as the go-to, they feel bad when you're not having cake. They want you to have cake so that they don't have to feel bad. But that is not your problem. That is their problem that they have to deal with. They have to deal with whether they want to eat cake or not, or whether they want to feel bad about not having cake. So it has absolutely nothing to do with you. Sometimes people will even get pissed off. So imagine Auntie Sue coming with her delicious chocolate cake that she only makes once a year for Easter. And she really wants you to have a cake, and you say, "No, thank you, I'm not eating cake today." And she gets really upset because she's putting so much of herself into this cake. She's almost identifying with this cake. She is the cake master. And if someone is refusing to eat her cake or doesn't like it, she will take it very personal. But that has nothing to do with you. You do not have to put that poison in your body if you do not want to. Okay? And also often when you're showing people that there is another way of doing it, They might not like it, and they might get jealous that you can do it, and they will feel like they're less worthy than you. And again, it is not your problem. That's solely their problem, and they will have to deal with it. So just, keep that in mind, that it's not, the whole world is not around you. It's, you can choose what to do in your world, but how they react and what they choose to do is their problem. So you have to focus on you, and they can do whatever they want. It doesn't really affect you. So what I want you to do is go and work on your cravings and your desire, and how to allow these cravings to just be, so that you're getting really good at it. The more you're practicing it, the better you're going to be at it, and the less cravings you're going to have. And the easier it's going to be to manage them in whatever situation you are in. And also, before attending this social event, have a conversation with yourself. So, first of all, ask yourself, what is better than cake? Do you have a reason for not eating sugar that is better than having the sugar? What is your compelling reason? Because if you just like, I want to stop eating sugar because it's not good for you, it's not very compelling at all. That's never going to drive you to want to sit through the uncomfortableness of being with the cravings and going through this whole process before you come out on the other side. So you need to find a good reason for why you're doing this. It might be that you can't find a good reason, and in this case, or you can always choose anyway. So you might say, okay, this is Easter dinner, Auntie Sue will be there with her cake, and I really do like this cake, so tomorrow, if it's tomorrow, I'm going to have some cake, and that's fine. And if you decide ahead of time that you are going to have cake, you're using your prefrontal cortex to plan, which is always a good thing. Because the last thing you want to do is give in to the cravings in the moment. And I keep repeating this because it's really, really important. So if you know you're going to attend an event and you think that you're going to fail and you're going to have the cake, you're most likely going to do that. So instead of failing, you just decide the day before or even a week before, I'm going to have cake. I'm going to have 5 pieces of cake if I want to. And that's cool. Then you follow that plan, and then you go back to the normal meal plan that you have, which I think then would be to not have sugar, or whatever that looks like for you. So during this event, you can have cake, as long as you have planned for it, because that way you will exercise your prefrontal cortex muscle, if you like, or you're teaching yourself to use your prefrontal cortex to plan, and then following through with that plan, whether that means eating sugar or not eating sugar. It's so much better for you to get to a place where you can get over your cravings if you're using your prefrontal cortex, even when you're having the sugar. So that is one option. The other option is that you decide that you're not going to eat cake. So then you ask yourself, okay, I'm going to feel really uncomfortable because people are going to ask me, and I'm going to have cravings, and all this is going on. So what thought do you need to have to be able to do this? You could just think that I'm pretty badass and I am willing to go to this occasion and feel uncomfortable and not give in to my cravings. That is who I am becoming. I'm pretty badass. I'm not giving in to that. Whether I feel uncomfortable or not doesn't actually matter. It's cool. I can feel uncomfortable. That's it. And then you go in with that attitude that I'm here, I'm going to feel uncomfortable, and that is cool because I can do this shit. And that's all good. So now I just want to give you a few words of encouragement. You're not going to have to do this for the rest of your life. Once you have worked through the cravings and the desire is gone, you will no longer have a problem in these situations because you won't have the cravings for whatever it is. It will be like other people smoking or eating olives. I just don't want it anymore. And that is freedom. When you go there, you don't even think about it. You're like, someone holds up a piece of cake to you and you say, no, I don't want it. And you truly mean it. You're not going to start thinking about what they are thinking about you. You're not going to think about how they are judging you for saying no to this cake, because you genuinely do not want the cake. And if you're practicing this, if you can allow the cravings and you can get through that part that is really, really hard, this is no longer going to be an issue for you. And that's what I'm hoping that you will be able to get to. And it is truly, that's how you feel like in control, and that's true freedom to me, that I can go there and I don't have to spend all this time thinking about it and agonizing about it. And I just say, no, I don't want it, because I do not want it. So I know this might be a little bit of a bummer, because we're back to square one, where I'm asking you to work on your cravings, but this is really the key to everything. If you can't get rid of the cravings, you're always going to have these kind of problems in all types of situations, whether that be at home, at work, at the wedding, whatever. But once it's gone, you have complete freedom around every situation in your life that involves food. And you will no longer care about being judged for it. It won't even be on your mind. It would just be an automatic response, because that is how you feel. So I hope that this has been somewhat helpful. Maybe not what you wanted to hear, but I hope that it helps, and that it will help motivating you to keep working on actually managing your cravings. So thank you very much for watching, and I will be back in 2 days' time with a new topic. Take care. Bye.